This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to the second video in this series, which is so far only two, and this is comparing the newest episode of The Flash from last week to last week's episode of The Mandalorian. So if you have not watched either of them, there is spoilers for The Flash Season 9, Episode 6, which is titled The Good, the Bad, and the Lucky, and The Mandalorian Season 3, Chapter 19, The Convert. So, if you have not watched either of them, I'd recommend not watching it. But these have both been out for over a week, so don't really think that I need a spoiler warning. But looking at them, I want to look at in this episode how to really focus on a secondary character for your episode and how to make the story really interesting. So, with this, I'm going to take a look at the story with Dr. Pershing from The Mandalorian and the story involving Allegra, Cecile, and the gambler's daughter, Becky. And honestly, well, she's not really the gambler's daughter in this, but I completely forgot the character's name for a second, and I honestly don't want to re-record this. So, just looking at this, it was at least interesting to be able to go and see this and just how similar these two episodes were, with the fact that they went and focused on secondary characters, but one of them focused on a character that was extremely minor, while the other focused on characters that are a little more major, but the one that focused on the minor character turned out to be really good, and the one that focused on the more major secondary character wasn't that good. And to look at the two, I honestly think that this came down to one thing that separated them, and that's the fact that one of them told a story that was truly worth telling and gave us an interesting look into what took place in the galaxy and to give us a greater look at what life was like. And the other one was just an episode there to fill in the episode count and was even more of an outrageous episode, considering that this was the final season and that they only had a limited amount of episodes left. And to waste it on an episode like this made it a lot worse. And although I know not everyone loved last week's episode of The Mandalorian, I really did, and I thought it was such an interesting story to tell. And the big part of it that made it really important and that helped it become a story worth telling was the fact we got to take a look at what the New Republic was like after the events of the fall of the Empire and to see what Coruscant was like, but also you got to truly learn how bad things could still get and how corruption is still there, but also that really things could be a lot worse, and there's never really any perfect system, but this was, although better than the Empire, there still is this corruption, and the Empire still has its hold on the galaxy and is still hid there and hidden in the shadows. And on the other one, it was literally just putting in a story with a character who was already killed in the show and was just brought back for this episode specifically. It had no major impact on it, and most people could care less what happened to any of the characters. And while watching it, I definitely think a lot of people would agree with that, and I really was not excited to be watching anything in this while watching everything in the Mandalorian. I was interested to see what the New Republic was up to and what the state of the galaxy was because this is going to be important not only for the show but all other shows that are set in this era. And it's pretty interesting to go and see that. And I really was excited to see how the story on Coruscant continued. While on the Flash episode, I could not wait for that to be over. The characters were not doing anything interesting, and there was no real point for it, especially since this is the final season for that show, and it really is doing nothing to push the anything for the story ahead or tell any kind of meaningful story for any of the characters. And just looking at this, it is pretty clear that there is a way to focus on a secondary character, and you definitely need to, if you focus on them, make sure you're showing something that's worth seeing and is worth taking attention away from the main character. And if you don't, it's not going to be a good episode, and no one's really going to care about it. But I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments. And I'll see you on the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.